Let me first plug in my laptop. All right. Does the audio work? Just to double check. Okay. So yeah, hi, welcome. My name is Dave Hakkens. I'm a designer from the Netherlands. In case you don't know where it is, it's kind of close by. And when I start working on projects, I always like to start on a problem. And it can be small. For instance, at one point, I was looking at a pen, and I noticed that of a pen, the only thing you really need is the ink, and all the plastic around it is just so you can hold the ink. So I was thinking, actually, you throw 90% of the pen away, you don't really need it. So what if you could just eat the pen? So I made this pen out of candy. So you just use it, and the moment the ink goes down, you slowly eat the pen, and in the end, you don't have any waste. You can have it in different flavors as well. And another project I worked on was when I noticed how much phone waste we have. So you have a phone, and after 2 years, you throw it away because it's getting slow, or maybe one part is broken. So I started thinking about this, and figured it would actually be nice if we have a modular phone. So a phone that exists out of different components. So if a component is broken, you can just replace it. Or if it's getting slow, you upgrade it for a newer one. So you could also customize your phone. Let's say you want a big battery, but you don't care about the camera. You could just get a bigger battery and get rid of your camera. Just try to increase the lifespan of a phone so it doesn't end up in the landfill every 2 years generating a lot of waste. And one project I've been working on for the last 5 years is Precious Plastic. And this one basically started when I noticed, the amount of plastic waste we have in the world. And I especially got triggered when I heard that less than 10% of all our plastic gets recycled. So of all the 1 million tons in the world, most of it, it either gets burned, it goes to the landfill, or ends up in the ocean. But actually, all 3 options are kind of shitty. So I was looking at this, and I'm playing around a bit with plastic. So let's say you have plastic waste. If you chop it into small pieces, you can actually quite easily mold and recycle it into something new. But I didn't really understand why so little actually got recycled. So I didn't know anything about plastic, so I just wanted to understand the problem. So I visited all these factories in the industry, from where the raw material is being made, where it's made into products, where they ship it, where the machines that make the objects are being made, transportation, and finally where it ends up. Just to sort of understand the problem of plastic. So I mapped it out in a simple sort of sketch. So basically, it goes in production, then you go to a shop, you use it, and then you throw it away. So I was interested in what happens when you throw it away if you recycle it, so that 10%. So company picks it up, it goes to somewhere where they sort it out, it goes to another place where they wash it, somewhere else where it's being shredded, and then to a stabilizer to go back in production. Basically, a lot of steps, and well, it's just easier to buy new plastic than doing all of this. So I figured, what if it would just be a bit simpler? What if you could bring it to, I don't know, someone like us, like a small workspace that does all these things on a more local scale? And then, instead of having a few centralized places where the waste is being recycled, just having more local places around the world. So, looking into this, I realized as a smaller individual, you can't really work with plastic. I mean, we can work with metal or wood. We've been doing that for ages. We have the tools, you can just get it at a hardware store and start. But plastic is a relative new material, but also all the tools available to work with it, they're like super expensive machine only used in the industry. So you can't really start yourself. So I figured maybe I should build these machines. And I really wanted these machines to be not just being able to make them in the Netherlands, but also somewhere in the middle of Africa where you have a lot of plastic waste. So I did a lot of research into finding components and see what kind of tools and materials are available, what kind of machines do they have there, because I can design a perfect machine in the Netherlands, but if they don't have the tools and materials, it's not really going to work. And besides making the machine, it was also a lot about just working with plastic, much more hands-on, so you don't produce millions a day, but really on a smaller scale, which also opens up more possibilities, like you can play a bit more with colors and sorting out, and really use it more as a paint almost, which opens up quite a different area of possibilities. And it also comes with challenges, like what if you want to melt plastic? Does it come out the same way as you want it? Very often it doesn't. So in the end, I developed 4 different machines. So you have the shredder, which basically chops it into small pieces. And then you have an injection machine, extrusion machine, and a compression machine. So they're really based on industrial machines, but just simplified and made in a way that people can actually build them themselves. And I wouldn't say my mom would be able to build them, but she would find someone around her, like a technical guy that could. And, well, I could talk a lot about these machines, but I have a little video that explains much better than I do how they work. So yeah, that's basically the idea in a video. But that you can set up your own little workspace and you know, get plastic trash and turn it into something new on the spot. And with that, you can make like functional stuff like bowls or clipboards, or a bit more technical like an iPhone case, or use it more to make interior stuff like wall tiles or beams, so you can really build things and construct with it. So these are just a few things that are possible, but in the end it's just a technique, so much more is possible. But that's like my workspace in Helmond in the Netherlands, but the plastic problem is huge everywhere in the world. So in order for this to kind of have an impact is to make sure that more people around the world can actually start recycling plastic. So what we do is we share all the technical drawings and blueprints open source online for free. So people can build these machines themselves, but also really like this whole package. So not just the blueprint, but also step-by-step instruction videos that really show, take a tube, you cut it, you weld it, and then you put this here. So people can really build their own machine. And some posters that help out sorting the different types of plastic, some labels to sort your inventory. So basically we're trying to provide this package of knowledge for people to learn about plastic and get started. And the funny thing is that once you put it online, people just, they just download it and start building. So here's a set in South Korea. Here are some guys in Budapest, Bulgaria, sorry. And some guys in Indonesia. If you think machine building is just for guys, 4 girls built them also in Taiwan. A guy in Mexico built it together with his kids. Some students in Mexico. And people use them for different reasons. So for instance, here they really use it as students to learn, to understand plastic, not just wood and metal and ceramics, but take plastic as a material as well. And other people, they really set up their own business with it. So they gather local waste and they turn it into something new, they sell it and they generate income. So here's on a street in Vietnam, a makerspace in China and Spain. So I would say education is also quite a big part of the project, just showing people that waste is actually valuable and you literally see it with your own eyes being transformed. But yeah, like these guys in Uganda, they really turn it into their business. They just wake up in the morning, people bring their waste, they get some money, and they turn it into new products. Or these guys in Ukraine as well, some women in Indonesia. And it's fun for us seeing all these differences. So you really see people in Ukraine, they tend to work a bit rougher. And in Indonesia, they have very patient and very detailed. So the output is also completely different. But for us, very interesting to observe all these things, and how they build machines is also completely different. So the guy in Ukraine uses old Soviet machines. So it's a completely other way of working. But that's also how we design it, to try to make it flexible. So if you can't find the part, you will find your way to make it work. Some guys in Slovenia, every week they are on a market selling their products. And here, another one in Jakarta, where they really use it to educate the kids, because there the plastic is, like in the Western world or developed world, you don't really see the plastic. We throw it in trash cans and we think it's okay, but it's there, but we don't see it. But if you go to these countries or in Africa, you really see it everywhere around you on the street. So also people tend to start there quicker because they really see it affecting their local environment. This is actually me last morning here in Denmark at some guys who also set up a Precious Plastic workspace. Wasn't aware of that, but cool. And Frank, he's also here. He built these 2 machines. Also never seen that guy before. But so they just download the stuff and get started locally. And on the one hand, it's individuals, but also, not sure if you know Lush. They sell like soaps and stuff. It's a shop. But they build our extruder machine in their shop to show customers as well what they do with their old packaging. So it's very used in a broad way. And for us, it gets really interesting when people start playing around with it and improving it. So here's a guy, he built a bigger version of our shredder. So he really took it apart, he rebuilt it, and he basically upgraded it. And that's when we start learning from the community. So it's not just us giving them the knowledge, but they give us knowledge back. And he's actually selling them, so he builds his business around that. And right now we have this map where we sort of keep track of all the workspaces. So this is what they are now. It's like over 200 around the world, with a new one opening up every week. So it's sort of a steady growth. And we also have this feature where we say you can add a pin if you want to get started. Because for a lot of people, I mean, it's kind of a big thing to set up a workspace. But a lot of people actually want to get started. Maybe they're not good in building machines, but they could do the promotion. And another one has the funding. Maybe another one is good in actually making products. And we always try to provide people not just blueprints for the machines, but really tools to get them started. So this map makes it easier for them to collaborate, to really find each other, connect, and just start. And yeah, so people do. And this is a guy in Morocco who built a bench out of it. Some kids' tools, or bowls in Africa. And we really like it if people build their business around it. So we also set up an online bazaar. It's sort of a marketplace where people can sell their goods. So let's say you make something, you can put it on there so people can buy it. So we also try to help them selling their objects. But it's not just plastic objects, but also machine builders. So let's say people just now they build their own business on building machines, basically. They're selling shredder or parts of the shredder. And this also makes it easier for people that want to get started, but they don't know how to build the machine. So they can just go there, they buy it, and they start. So that's really all we do, trying to make it easier and more accessible for plastic recycling. yeah, so here's the guy selling his shredder kit. People also selling products and molds on it. So there's this whole, it's basically growing library because people play around, they come up with new products. You have design students thinking about new molds. So it's the community is sort of growing on its own. It's not us giving all the input and saying you need to make this or you can make this. But now it really starts to grow beyond us, that people come up with their own ideas and their own kind of molds. And we also do a few side projects. So our main focus is really to develop these machines. But on the one hand, I'm based in the Netherlands. So I would say traveling is quite a big part of my work as well, to understand the world, because the mindset in Africa is completely different. So we also do pilot projects. So here we went to Kenya to really set up a precious plastic workspace. So we've been there like 3 weeks, really with the locals to set it up, to see what goes wrong, see what kind of tools they have, what could be improved, just to make our package of knowledge better and easier for them. So yeah, we learn a lot from that. And I think one of the important things for us is also showing people that plastic is precious. So we tend to see it as this disposable waste material that has no value. So here we had a shopping window in Amsterdam, which we filled up. One was with trash and the other one with a diamond made from plastic. Just trying to show people that plastic is a precious material and worth something. So this is more like, I would say, the side projects we do just for us to keep it fun instead of only building machines. Are also doing exhibitions where we gather all the people that make the products, because usually it's all digital. So we try to ship them all to wherever the exhibition is, and then put them all out there so people can really see the big scale of and the diversity of what you can do with plastic. And I would say this is, for me personally, one of the most interesting things, because then I can really see objects that I did not create or I didn't think about, but it's really built and by the community. And yeah, so this is always it's sort of a whole palette of what you can do with plastic recycling. And for me personally, it gives hope. So yeah, that was my presentation. So later in lunch,